Saturday, December 16th, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So, are the currency wars heating up? Well, it could be. And yeah, Jim Rickards wrote his book about 7 years ago almost now. The full title is Currency Wars, The Making of the Next Global Crisis. And why am I talking about this this evening? Well, there's a very interesting article on Zero Hedge, and it says Trump set to accuse China of economic aggression on Monday. And I'll read a little bit from the article. It says, just a few short days after Chinese regulators gave the green light to petro-yuan futures trading, signaling an escalation in the war against dollar hegemony, President Trump is reportedly set to accuse China of economic aggression in efforts to undermine international order during his national security speech on Monday. I guess the international order is the dollar hegemony we've had since the end of World War II. And you will note that other countries that try to basically use another currency other than the dollar for oil trading, they haven't ended up that well. You've got the example of Iraq, where Saddam Hussein was going to start using the euro. We know what happened to him. And we have Gaddafi as well, who tried to start an African gold-backed currency and sell his oil to his African partners in that currency. We know what happened to him. So China, though, and Russia, because Russia is also being involved now trying to develop a trading or payment system, gold trading system. They've even opened a branch of the Bank of Russia, Central Bank of Russia in Shanghai. So it's not going to be as easy to get rid of these two guys, these two countries and their leaders, just because they want to start trading commodities and oil in particular in other currencies other than the dollar. So this, unfortunately, could lead to more than just a currency war. Hopefully it won't. So, and I read a little bit further here because I made two videos earlier this year. They're entitled China Delivers Knockout Blow to Petrodollar. There's a part 1 from September 6th and a part 2 from October 13th. And I talk just about this subject here of the petro-yuan and the fact that eventually people will be also able to convert that yuan into physical gold. So Zero Hedge goes on to note, and I have to say that a lot of people, when I made that video, were saying, "Oh, we never saw, China has not announced they're going to go in a gold back to yuan." And I try to explain that they're setting up the, how can I say, the infrastructure to do it. Of course, they're not going to announce that they will. It will just happen naturally, and that's what seems to be happening, especially with the Russians getting involved as well. So, Zero Hedge says, the last week has been more intriguing than usual in the world of Sino-U.S. relations. Not only did China push ahead with its plan for a yuan/gold-backed oil futures contract, directly threatening the great military servicing global petrodollar recycling scheme, but Washington appeared to do an about-face in its rhetoric towards North Korea, as Secretary of State Tillerson indicated that the U.S. would be willing to hold talks with North Korea about any preconditions. But other than that, though, what I wanted to say is that if you look at the United States trade balance going back to just after World War II, from 1950 to present day, you can see that it was in balance all the way to the early mid-70s, and I guess it all changed. It's clear for everyone to see that after President Nixon closed the gold window and basically took the dollar off the gold standard, and for the first time in history, the global money or world money, the reserve currency, had no backing. So look what's happened to the U.S. Trade balance. Has been in deficit ever since. And that goes back to the Triffin dilemma. Triffin was a Belgian, American-Belgian economist, and he said that whoever has the global reserve currency, especially if you go off gold, as the U.S. did, they're going to always have trade deficits because they're going to have to provide the liquidity for all the other countries. All the other countries are going to have to try to sell and export as much to earn dollars so they can buy other stuff from other countries, or else they can't function, or they have to be autarkic. They have to be no trade. So what I'm trying to say here is that the only way to solve this problem would be for the major economic powers of the world, their leaders, to sit down and rewrite the whole world monetary system in order to make it fair and equitable for everyone. More fair, more fair and equitable for everyone. It won't be perfect, and it's very clear for everyone to see that without an anchor to the world monetary system, we can't have a system that functions properly. And basically, I think that President Trump is, the U.S. wants to have its cake and eat it, so to speak. They want the dollar to be weak and other countries to not export as much, and the U.S., they want to have more exports and do away with their trade deficit, but that will be impossible until everyone sits down and reorganizes the monetary system of the world. Will they include a basket of commodities? Will they include gold? And I don't think it will, how can I say, it will work if they include just fiat currencies as a basket. A lot of people say, oh, we could use the SDR, but the SDR is just a basket of fiat currencies which have no anchor. They have to anchor the global monetary system. And until they do that, we're going to have these problems. So, so Donald Trump now is going to come out and, blame China for everything. And Zero Hedge says here that, and I quote, some people familiar with this strategy said it would be the most aggressive economic response to China's rise since 2001, when the U.S. backed its entry into the World Trade Organization. It points to the waning influence of Gary Cohn, and I would say ex-Goldman Sachs guy, the White House National Economic Council head, who many people believe will leave the administration next year. And then someone quotes here, it says, it's like a Peter Navarro PowerPoint presentation, said one person, referring to the provocative economist and author of Death by China, who is now a White House official. It's unfortunate because I remember when Trump was running for president during the campaign, one of his economic advisors was an economist by the name of Judy Shelton. And there's a very interesting article here, which I probably spoke about already on August 18th, 2016. And it's entitled, This Trump Economic Advisor Wants America to Go Back to the Gold Standard. And she understood that without a gold standard, or without a monetary system that has an anchor to it, the reserve currency, in this case the dollar, will always be in deficit. And why do I say a gold standard? Well, because that's what we've had in the past, and that's what kept the system of global trade in balance. The 19th century, you had the sterling reserve currency. And you have to admit, in the late 19th, early 20th century, before World War I, global trade boomed under the gold standard, because what a gold standard does is that it takes away, how can I say, politics. Because gold has been a store or a measure of value, a neutral measure of value for thousands of years. And but it requires discipline, and it requires also that we do away with the welfare states, the warfare state, smaller government, because politicians love fiat money because they can just borrow and spend, to their heart's content. And that's what, at the point we're at. Even Alan Greenspan admitted that the gold standard and gold is the enemy of the statist. So it's going to be interesting to see, going forward here. He's going to give the speech on Monday. We'll have to see what China's reaction is going to be. Maybe this is just, we're making a big deal out of it, but it could be something to keep an eye on, especially seeing that China is one of the biggest creditors to the United States, or if not the biggest. The Chinese buy U.S. treasuries. Mr. Trump needs to think carefully before he upsets, his biggest creditor. So, will we see the heating up of the currency wars? We'll have to wait and see. But let's keep an eye on President Trump's speech on Monday. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on steemit.com and on Twitter. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.